Well, we knew it would happen, it was just a matter of how long, and it looks like, officially, that Germany has attacked France. The year is 1941, the date is the 24th of February. So, Poland is finishing up the conflict in Romania. Poland has almost taken all of the territory, actually, and it doesn't look like Romania is going to be putting up much more resistance. Also, Poland is currently at war with Oman, but I don't imagine we're going to be seeing much progress on that front, at least for a little while. Over here in Asia, China is fighting hard against this country, and it looks like China is going to be on the losing side of that conflict. Japan still has a very, very large presence in mainland China. However, Japan has lost control of almost the entirety of the Korean peninsula, barring some, I don't know, token land that they seem to have taken up here. The Japanese island has still yet to be breached, but we'll see how that goes over the coming turns. But yes, very, very interesting. Got to bear in mind is that we're about 4 months away, 2 or 3 months away from starting the Second World War properly, and already the Axis and the Allies are at war with, well, a lot of people, but they're not at war with each other, so we'll have to wait and see if that happens when the start of World War II rolls around. Portugal has now been fully defeated. Portugal was up against a bunch of people, actually. They're up against the Allies, and similarly, they were also just up against Spain in a random conflict. I very much suspect that slowly but surely, their colonies around the world are going to be beaten down by the Allies. So, be looking for the British to be making some moves over here. Doesn't look like that's happening at the moment. It looks like the Portuguese forces are winning. However, there's a massive British stack which is coming along to the Portuguese colonies. Also over here, no troops. Well, apart from 91 nominal Portuguese troops. So yeah, over the entire world, I would expect to see some little colonial scuffles. But other than that, probably not much. The United States has full-on declared war on Brazil, which is a very interesting course of action. I don't think Brazil has many troops, to be honest. Certainly not many near where the United States are. I have no idea where the United States are going to make a move against Brazil, but the United States will have a bunch of troops. I don't know where any of them are, though. Some of them are up here. And they're going to presumably be moving out against Brazil very, very shortly indeed. So, Poland has peaced out with Romania, and they've taken a whole bunch of Romanian territory. It looks like that was quite a large expansion into what was Romania. So it looks like Poland is going to be consolidating their forces before the official start of the Second World War. Poland is in quite a nice position, actually. They're looking pretty strong on the whole, a good budget surplus, and with a little bit of extra territory. That will certainly help them out. Okay, so we are pretty much on the eve of the start of the Second World War here, and it's probably just worth having a wee look to see what is going on in the Soviet-Turkish conflict. It looks like the Soviet Union is rampaging over Turkey, quite frankly, and it looks like the Soviet Union is set to take a lot more territory. There's a couple of large Turkish stacks just chilling out over here. But in the meantime, Bulgaria has also declared war on Turkey and is also taking a bunch of territory. So, I don't imagine that Turkey is going to emerge whole from this conflict. I think that they're probably going to be split right down the middle. But certainly the Soviet Union and Bulgaria look to be taking a bunch of territory. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. Certainly, we haven't seen any major European conflict yet, and if there was to be a major European conflict, I'm not sure that Germany would be able to defend itself. There is simply no German troops in Germany at all. Literally none. They are all on colonial conflicts, I would think. 61,000 troops just chilling in Paris. Still no idea why that's the case. In Spain, there's about 30,000 troops just chilling out in the conquered Portuguese territory. In the UK, there's 58,000 troops. So the UK's got a lot of troops just waiting in the sidelines. Poland has got about 20,000 troops, pretty much all in the territory of Romania. And Italy, similarly to Germany, has literally no troops on their peninsula, on the Italian peninsula. That is kind of crazy. So if there is any European conflict, yeah, see, look, here are all the German troops. They're all in Saudi Arabia, and in fact, I'm pretty sure that they've taken all of the Saudi Arabian territory now. Yep, they've got a 100% war score against Saudi Arabia, which is kind of bonkers. Italy also, or Iraq also declared war on Italy as well. Don't exactly know why they would do that, but it looks like Italy is just going to be able to move all of its troops from Saudi Arabia up into Iraq and get a little 2-for-1. The Union of South Africa has also declared war against Italy. Now, that is actually going to be kind of interesting, because the Union of South Africa is in, I was going to say close proximity to some Italian colonial provinces, but it's not really. Unless the Union of South Africa decides to get access through UK territory, and I'm not entirely sure that they have done that. They have not done that yet. They still could do it, but if they get access through UK colonial territory, then they would be able to attack Italy in 3 places actually. So that may very well be happening. We're going to go to the very next turn, and we're going to see what happens at the start of the Second World War. I don't think it's going to be anything. I'm very, very doubtful that there will be a sort of trigger event. Don't think there was anything. Don't think there was anything particularly interesting. Germany came to Italy's defense. Yep. No, there's nothing that actually ended up happening. That's okay. That doesn't matter, because that's not going to stop France and Germany going to war against each other. If we actually have a little look, you can see that that the French attitude towards Germany is incredibly low, and the German attitude towards France is also incredibly low, and the UK as well. So Germany clearly is not a big fan of the UK. I would actually be expecting France to declare war on Germany at this rate. Germany is in a really, really poor situation, and France could really, really capitalize on that. And as we sort of talked about, it looks like the Italian troops are just going to be going absolutely crazy through Iraq, and I don't imagine that there's going to be many victories to be had in Iraq. It also looks like Saudi Arabia and Italy and Germany, they all pieced out. And they pretty much took the entirety of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, I don't think exists anymore. I don't think there is a single bit of territory. I don't think there is a single bit of territory that Saudi Arabia has. Germans took the southern half of the peninsula, and Italy took the northern half. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Germany has a large amount of cash in the bank. Italy's got a little bit. The UK was and still is in debt. And France is also a little bit in debt. So very, very interesting that the Axis powers seemingly have a lot of cash, which they can use to raise a whole bunch of armies very, very quickly. But they've got the cash, so maybe if there is an invasion of Germany, then we're going to see some armies spring up out of nowhere. So major development has taken a step forward. France has taken all of Sweden, I do believe. It is now purely French territory for the French to do what they want, really. With the exception of this island and I believe this island over here, which is Visby and Lautorp, which were taken by the UK, as I imagine they were taken by the UK during the initial invasion. The UK is made off with 2 islands, and France is made off with the entirety of Sweden, which is pretty interesting actually, because that puts France only at war with Portugal, I do believe, and France is at war with Portugal with the entirety of the Allies. So France is actually in a really, really strong position, if they weren't strong enough already with their 61,000 troops that are just chilling around in Paris. They've got their mojo back, they've got their money back, and they may very well take some action against Germany, with who they still have very poor relations, actually. So that's something to look out for in the coming turns. So Italy has finished up the war with Iraq. They have taken the entirety of Iraq. That was quite a swift conflict. They unfortunately have developed a little bit of a rebel problem in the Saudi Arabian occupied provinces. Although I think that this can be knocked down fairly quickly indeed. And just a little update on the Portugal conflict. The Portugal conflict is still running on. Spain and the rest of the allies are still trying to defeat all of the Portuguese colonies. They've got a little bit of presence over here. I think they've still got their province over here. Yep, they do, technically. I don't imagine that this is going to be taken out of their hands anytime soon, but I do imagine that this conflict is going to be winding down very, very shortly, and Spain is going to be taking a bunch of Portuguese territory. And maybe the UK actually is going to get a bunch of Portuguese colonial territory. And on that note, it looks like Portugal has made a truce with everyone that was attacking her, and I think that is all of the Portuguese territory, perhaps even including this area over here, was taken. I don't think they have any territory left at all, and Portugal has just been absorbed completely into France and into the British colonial area over here. So very, very, very interesting indeed. Now, importantly, that basically means that the Allies and technically the Axis are not doing anything at the moment. And so I would expect to see a very, very, very large conflict emerge fairly soon, actually, given that relations are actually now worse with everyone than they've ever been. Well, we knew it would happen. It was just a matter of how long. And it looks like officially that Germany has attacked France. The year is 1941. The date is the 24th of February. The United Kingdom and Italy have yet to be called in, although I would imagine that on the very next turn, then that is what's going to happen. Poland has also declared war on France. Not entirely sure what the logic is there, but Poland is now at war with France as well. It's going to be a little bit difficult for Polish troops to access France, although does Poland have access? Wow, okay. Poland has military access to Germany, and therefore Polish troops are going to be marching right through Germany to get to France. France has got a couple of thousand troops on the border over here. Individually, I think they have more than Germany, although they are slightly spread out at the moment. There's a large concentration of French troops in this section, but I think that there was more French troops. I just don't know where they've disappeared to. They must be kicking around somewhere. Either way, next turn I would be expecting the United Kingdom and military and Italy to be called in on this battle, and we could definitely see some Italian progress down here unless France decides to split that stack. Similarly, we could also see France just pushing right ahead into Germany. Could happen. I doubt it will, but it very much could happen. Okay, looks like France is absolutely heading forward with a good pace actually into German territory. They've trained up a whole bunch more troops on the border. They're making 20,000 ducats, 20,000 ducats a turn. They're investing the minimum amount in population growth. They're not investing anything at all in research. Investments also at a minimum. So they're making a lot of money indeed. Germany, as you can see, has now entered war with the United Kingdom. I would imagine that British Malaya will be similarly called in next turn. You can see that Germany is about to reinforce the conflict at the border. France is also reinforcing. Who can really who can really move more reinforcements to the border region? That's the real question. And when is Italy going to make the move? Well, presumably when they're called in. Are Italy going to be called in? That's an important question. Also, I would imagine that British troops will be arriving at some point over the next couple of turns. When they arrive is going to be key, though, because that's a pretty big number of troops that we can expect to have an impact on the battle. There's already thousands of Polish troops moving out. This is going to be very, very, very dangerous for France. Look at the number of troops that Poland have. That is quite honestly crazy. I spoke a little bit about this in the last series that I did. Poland has a ridiculous number of troops, and I actually think that it is slightly broken in terms of the amount of troops that Poland is somehow able to raise. But they have a whole bunch of troops that are going to be moving out to the German border region, I would imagine, shortly, and similarly trying to defeat France. Interesting thing, I think, yeah, the United Kingdom hasn't been called into the war against Poland. It's just the war with Germany that they've been called into. So we'll have to see how that goes once the Polish troops arrive on the German front line, I guess. We'll see if Polish troops are allowed to attack British troops. I don't imagine they are, but we'll have to wait and see. So we're a couple of turns into the conflict. I suppose this is technically World War II. World War II, albeit declared slightly later than you would expect. And for just a little quick update, not that one, we want to look at this conflict. Italy has now been called in, which means that France is going to need to defend two borders, basically. They've got the Italian border over here, which has already been breached slightly, but they've got about 6,000 troops to defend, and I imagine they're probably going to be able to defend with that many troops. That is until the 15,000 Italian troops arrive and head into France. Meanwhile, on the German front, France is actually holding up fairly well. They've got about the same number, probably about the same number of troops that the Germans do. However, the Germans have got them slightly more concentrated in Heidelberg, which is going to be interesting. If they split this stack up, then there is a good chance that France manages to defeat them individually. But if they don't split them up, then I don't imagine that France is going to be able to do much against that massive stack. They've also got 7,000 troops heading to Ulm, but similarly, I think that France might just be able to beat them with this 9 stack that they're assembling. Here. The Polish troops have started to move out. When the Polish troops arrive, it's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be a bad time for France, that's for sure. Okay, so the Polish troops are just about to arrive at the German-French border. I still have no idea how this was able to happen. This is just complete madness. It really is, how Poland is fighting effectively with Germany against France. It's pretty crazy. But meanwhile, Italy has been making inroads through France with their 15,000 stack, which has now been dispersed and has defeated probably most of the French troops that we're going to see in this conflict. Still no sign of British troops. The French have got another 3,500 soldiers coming from Sweden, but still no sign of British reinforcements. Nothing so far, really. That's not British troops. I don't even want to guess where the British troops are at this point, really. Are they down here? Not really. Yeah, no real idea where the British troops are. There is a slight presence in Italy over here, and they've taken all of the Italian colonial land in Africa. And they may start moving out to this area, but I mean, I guess this is where all the British troops are. Certainly, it doesn't feel like it's very effective, but I guess it's playing an important role. It's very interesting to see what's happening. Oh, it looks like Bulgaria peaced out with Turkey, and Turkey now pretty much no longer exists. I mean, they do still technically exist, but only very, very slightly. And they are technically at war with Romania as well, so if the Romanian troops manage to find a way to make it over here, then Turkey's probably going to be finished. The goose is going to be cooked. The Soviet Union has meanwhile decided to go to, or Iran has meanwhile decided to go against, to go to war with the Soviet Union. I don't know why. Doesn't make sense, but there you go. It happened. Soviet Union, by the way, still hasn't really played an important role in the conflict in Europe. They were at war with Finland, and then they pretty much finished Finland off and took all of their territory. You can now see that they've got a little bit of a rebel problem. They got two rebel groups that have just sort of started developing in what was Finland. But yeah, still no sign that the Soviet Union is going to play an important role in the European conflict. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Meanwhile, I think France is stuffed. I don't think there is any way to save France. Yeah, so we're only a couple of months further into 1942, but you can already see how disastrous this has been for Germany. Germany has lost almost the entirety of the northern reaches of its territory. Hey, Orbital Potato here. Thank you very much for watching. I wanted to try something a little bit different with this series, so if you've got any thoughts or feedback, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you have any other suggestions for future AI battle scenarios that I should cover, please let me know. Thanks for watching. See you next time.